Greetings to Dr. Rani. Hi, my name is Elli, Khaleela, and today I will be presenting my individual assignment on virtue ethics and moral decision making in the workplace. This presentation examines a real workplace case involving a data breach and misuse of customer information and analyzes it using Aristotle's concept of virtues and vices to understand both unethical behavior and moral courage at work. The moral issue in this case centers on two employees, employee A, a technical support staff, and employee B, the team leader. This case involves a data breach that violated company's policy and its internal code of conduct. In June 2019, the Singapore Police Force approached the company about a possible leak of customer data. There was a 4-month investigation that followed, involving employee interviews, email reviews, and examination of internet logs. Findings have revealed that employee A had been excessively accessing and retrieving finance-related enterprise bills between July 2017 to July 2019. Further investigation showed that this information had been misused for personal gain and eventually sold to loan sharks as payment, which breaches both confidentiality and corporate trust. Meanwhile, employee B, the supervisor, noticed this suspicious activity and reported it to the company's whistleblower hotline. Following due process, employee A was found guilty under the Computer Misuse Act 1990 and sentenced to 2 months imprisonment and 14 weeks of jail time. This case illustrates how ethical decisions or the lack of them can deeply affect trust, integrity, and accountability within an organization. Now, moving on to the vices of employee A. Two key vices can be identified: deception and overindulgence. Firstly, deception refers to concealing the truth or misleading others for personal benefit instead of acting transparently. Employee A displayed this vice by secretly selling confidential customer data, betraying both the company's trust and professional ethics. Secondly, overindulgence. It refers to a lack of self-control and excessive pursuit of material or personal gain. Here, employee A allowed greed to override moderation, misusing access to customer data for financial benefit. These behaviors reflect a failure to practice moral restraint and an absence of ethical awareness. In contrast, employee B demonstrated moral excellence through the virtues of courage and justice. Courage involves facing fears and taking principled action with confidence and reason. Despite the risk of backlash or discomfort, employee B showed courage by reporting the misconduct, prioritizing integrity over convenience. Meanwhile, justice refers to treating others fairly and acting impartially while respecting their rights. Employee B displayed this virtue by handling the issue objectively, ensuring fairness to all parties, and upholding the company's ethical standards. Together, these actions reflect a strong moral character that values truth and accountability above personal ease. Next, analyzing the vices by using Aristotle's framework of the golden mean. The first vice is deception. Honesty lies between the two extremes, deception which is deficiency and crude honesty which is excess. Deception arises when individuals distort or hide the truth to protect themselves to gain an advantage. In this case, two causes are evident. The first is fear of accountability. Employee A concealed their misconduct to avoid detection and punishment. The second is self-interest, where personal gain was prioritized over honesty and professional ethics. This imbalance moved employee A far away from the moral mean of honesty. Moving on to the second vice, overindulgence. According to Aristotle, temperance represents the golden mean between self-denial, which is deficiency, and overindulgence, which is excess. Overindulgence occurs when self-control is lacking or entirely absent. In this case, two root causes stand out. The first is greed or excessive desire for financial reward and personal status. The second is poor self-discipline, where employee A failed to regulate impulses and allowed the pursuit of profit to override ethical judgment. Through this lens, it becomes clear that moral weakness and lack of restraint led to employee A's ethical downfall. Now, analyzing the virtues beginning with courage. Aristotle defines courage as the mean between cowardice and recklessness. It involves taking the right action despite fear. In this situation, two main causes explain employee B's moral strength. First, moral responsibility. Employee B recognized a duty to act ethically even at personal risk. Secondly, integrity under pressure, as employee B chose honesty and accountability over comfort or silence. This demonstrates how moral awareness and reasoned action enable ethical behavior even in challenging environments. Now, let's look at justice. Justice lies between injustice, where fairness is lacking, and favoritism, where partiality is excessive. In this case, employee B's actions reflect two core motivations. First, a commitment to fairness by ensuring equal treatment and a moral duty to report wrongdoing. Second, respect for rights by protecting customers' privacy and the company's trust. By acting impartially and with integrity, employee B restored balance and upheld the moral order within the organization. Finally, the recommendations. To correct deception, employee A must first confront self-deception, recognizing that dishonesty begins within oneself. They should practice self-reflection and transparent communication to rebuild honesty and trust. Through Aristotle's process of moral habituation, consistent truthful acts can eventually reshape one's character. Next, to overcome overindulgence, employee A must acknowledge that greed stems from lack of moderation. They should adopt ethical checkpoints by pausing to ask whether decisions align with values or personal desires, and by applying mindfulness to exercise restraint. Each deliberate act of self-control helps reform habits, strengthening moral discipline over time. In conclusion, this case highlights how moral virtues and vices coexist in the workplace. While employee A's actions reflected deception and overindulgence, employee B embodied courage and justice, virtues that uphold ethical integrity. Through Aristotle's virtue ethics, we understand that moral excellence is not innate but cultivated through conscious effort, reflection, and also practice. That is all from me, and thank you for listening.